Heyo, and welcome back to my channel. This is nothing if not a brain dump, so I hope this makes sense. And I don't even know what I want to say, but I'm going to try to process all the things that I've been thinking about in the last week. I've just been thinking a lot about creativity recently because I have started working on my book again, which I had started like almost 2 years ago and worked on it for like a month and then quit. I've been working on that, and it's just been really weird seeing the impact that has on my emotional health. Like I don't know, just how good it is to be working on something creative. And also it's very hard. It doesn't all just come naturally all of the time, but it's good. And it's been very, very healthy for me. And I just wanted to kind of reflect on that because I think that's just kind of weird. I've always found it very fascinating how important it is to be creating something or have some kind of hobby, and just like how much of God's pleasure I feel in me when I'm writing something, because it's not really exactly furthering the kingdom. It's not like my book is gonna bring people to God, but I still just feel so happy when I'm writing it, and so happy at the thought of finishing it, and so like God is for me in this. Which is so weird that like God cares about us just creating something beautiful and something that speaks truth about the world and about Him. And it's just so interesting how different my life is when my imagination is awake and alive like that, and I get to be creating this world, dreaming up this plot and these characters. And I've just always loved fantasy. It just makes me come alive, and everyone has different things like that, but for me it's just fantasy. But in creating, I feel like I've run into this roadblock a lot, which is what made me think about this, because I've also really wanted to write a song for a long time because I haven't written one of those in months. But I've been trying to be a little more disciplined about it recently and feeling like it's not doing anything. I put myself in this vulnerable emotional state hoping that a song will come out of that, and then it just doesn't, and then me being in a tender, vulnerable, emotional state turns into just me being in like a bad in my head kind of mood, instead of turning into something beautiful and allowing space for deeper emotions or thoughts to come up that I can pour into a song. And that was just very frustrating to me. And then the other day too, I felt like I had hit a wall with my book. So I was like, well, here are the two dots and I'll figure out how they connect later. I'll figure out how it's feasible for that to happen. And I got to one of those where I was like, I really need to figure out how this happens. And so I spent an entire afternoon just sitting there thinking about it, and I couldn't come up with an idea or a solution. And I was just feeling like the resistance against being able to create something beautiful, and it just made me feel like I had wasted my afternoon. And I was not very excited about that being a thing. So I was all stressed out and in my head about that, and I just felt terrible about myself. And I felt like God was telling me not to feel terrible about myself, but I was like, how can I help but feel terrible about myself? Like, I just wasted a whole day. Then when I was journaling the next morning, I was hearing God's perspective on everything, and it just encouraged me so much. I feel like I just come at my whole life with this mindset of productivity. And so even in something that I'm doing for fun or something that I'm doing creatively, it's with this productive mindset about it, which kind of steals all the joy out of it sometimes. And I kind of justified it by being like, but God, you want me to sing songs, and you gave me this story idea to write. And so I need to make these so I can get them done as fast as possible and share them with people as fast as possible so that their lives can be changed as fast as possible and they can be brought to you as fast as possible. And it's such a nice feeling to have the beautiful tied up in a ribbon finished product and be able to share it with people. But that's just not really the approach that God takes, and not really what He's calling me into with this. And He was just encouraging me that it's not that He gave me this idea and set this story in my heart for me to tell the world for some reason, and then the point is for me to just produce it as quickly as I possibly can. He has given me this idea, and it's to be a journey, and it's for the way that it influences me as much as the way that it's going to influence anybody else, because that's the thing, I don't know who's going to read it, I don't know who's going to care about it, so it has to be worth something for me to write it. And same with my songs, that I'm like, really, no one really hears these, but somehow it does me good to put this into words. And so he was really encouraging me that he's not looking at it like I need to produce something, but this is a journey that he's calling me into. And there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be hard parts and there's going to be easy parts, just like life. And me sitting there with an afternoon pushing through writer's block, it's just part of the process to him. And he doesn't care that now the story is going to get finished that many hours later because I got stuck. Like, he's not upset at me for taking time. And I don't need to be upset at myself for taking time. and I can just chill. I can just let it be what it is. I can just follow this weird journey of the creative process with him and see where it takes me and see what happens. I don't know, just seeing how compassionate and how gracious his response was to my mindset about something so small as this little book that I'm writing and wanting to finish was so encouraging, because I struggle to believe that in my real life too, that if I'm not doing something productive, my life is a waste of time. And I should have been doing better, and how could I have wasted my day reading a book? I need to be working, I need to be helping people. If I have a bunch of free time I don't know what to do with, I should probably read my Bible. And I just always feel this constant pressure, like I'm not putting in enough effort and I'm not making anything. Like I have nothing to show for the time that I've spent. Somehow, no matter how important it is to rest, I feel so bad about resting still. And I still feel like I need to be producing. And so I feel like that whole little incident was just such a reminder to me of what the Sabbath is supposed to be, and the mindset that I want to have about resting, and the ways that I need to just surrender to that, and like God has to command us to take a break, because otherwise we won't do it. And I want to be able to do things that calm me down and that are very life-giving for me, that awaken my imagination and help me see God in a bunch of different ways, and that's good. He made us that way. He made us to live and experience life. He didn't make us to be machines running around all the time chugging out new converts. He made us to live and to experience our lives with him. And somehow writing fantasy and writing songs is one of the ways that I do that. And I just want to be able to be at rest with it. Like wherever he takes me, whatever he says before me, I want to be able to do it and not worry so much about, oh, but what am I going to have to show for this? How am I going to justify this time spent to anyone else who comes and is like, well, what did you do with that? I just want to be able to experience being with God. Yeah, I feel like it's so hard for me to accept doing anything that isn't inherently productive, I guess. I told you that was going to be a brain dump. I don't even know. I should probably just wrap it up here because I could ramble forever. But that was kind of what I was thinking just from trying to work on my book, is I don't have to be a machine. I don't have to just produce and produce and produce and try to be as fast and as efficient about it as possible. God wants to spend time with me, and he wants me to feel alive and to feel vibrant and to feel awake and imaginative and more in love with him. And I can't do that if I'm always just so focused on what do I need to get done. And I don't want to look at my life as a to-do list. I want to look at it as a walk and an adventure with him that will be done in his timing. And I don't need to be just rushing from one thing to the next and always trying to figure out my plan for what's the next efficient way that I'm going to further the kingdom. Like, that's in his hands. I just want to be able to take it as a journey. The point is in the journey. It's not just in the finished product. It's every step along the way. And if that takes however long God wants it to take, I need to be okay with that. With my life and with writing my book. Thank you for watching, and goodbye until more interesting things happen.